Sorry folks for being gone so long. I've been in the middle of this little sickness thing, but now that I'm over it, I'm going to do a Batman Arkham Origins review. But for the sake of this one, I'm going to need a little bit of help.
Hi, Mr. G.
Oh god, here we go. Batman Arkham Origins. Alright, before we get into this review, allow me to introduce my co-partner, or my partner for this review, Morgan.
Hi.
She is my local Batman expert,
Yeah.
so any little nitpick thing I get wrong with the plot regarding Batman or the universe, she'll be more than willing to point out how stupid I am. The story of Batman Arkham Origins takes place around 5 years before...
Officially, they said 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years before Arkham Asylum. And this follows kind of Batman in more raw, more aggressive, unrefined state than what we see him in the Arkham Asylum and Arkham City games. And in this one, he finds out that it's Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve, and Black Mask, sets a bounty on his head for $50 million. And so he's gathered the 8 greatest assassins in the world, supposedly, to find and kill the Batman.
And these assassins compose of Deathstroke, Lady Shiva, who else?
Deathstroke, Lady Shiva,
Deadshot.
Bane.
Yeah, of course.
Copperhead.
Yeah, who is apparently a woman in this version, if that's correct.
Yes. She's usually he.
Isn't also Black Mask the one who kind of does this whole thing, like Black Mask or Hush or something like that? Aren't they in the game, or am I missing?
Actually, there's a Hush reference. There's a Dr. Thomas Elliot reference Alfred makes in the Batcave, but he doesn't physically appear. And there's an identity theft killer article in Bane's lair.
Okay.
That's an Easter egg.
Basically, a whole bunch of assassins come into Gotham going to kill the Batman and have a massive bounty on his head.
Electrocutioner. We can't forget him.
Yeah. Oh.
We can't forget him.
Well, we'll get to him later.
Oh, Firefly, of course.
Yes, there's Firefly as well. Not the Joss Whedon show, because that would be awesome.
No.
So the gameplay for Arkham Origins is fairly consistent with the previous Arkham Asylum games in Arkham City. It's still the whole, you press a button and you go into one combo, and then you can fluidly move from one combo to the next. And of course you still have all the gadgets that Batman is familiar with, granted with some minor variations.
Like Electrocutioner's gloves.
That one was a lot of fun. But also instead of you have I think in Arkham City you had an ice grenade, but instead this is
a glue grenade.
It's a glue grenade, but let's be honest, it's the same thing.
Pretty much.
Although it makes me kind of wonder, how many times does Batman need to re-equip himself with all these different gadgets? Because if you think about it, in Arkham City, you've got all these other weapons, as you progress through the game, but in Arkham Origins, you kind of have them all off the bat, don't you?
Pretty much. You don't have the glue grenade until later in the game, and the electrocution gloves.
Yeah, you get those.
And you get Deathstroke's, Deathstroke's little launcher thing. It's like when he grabs onto people and...
Yeah, that doesn't come until later on.
Yeah, until after you've actually beat the guy.
Yeah,
Which a long time.
Yeah, that's gotta be one of the hardest boss fights I remember in recent memory. But yeah, that is basically all the same weapons you were familiar with from the Arkham Asylum and Arkham City games are in this one. So Morgan, I'll let you start off. What would you say is your favorite thing about Arkham Origins overall?
Overall, I liked because one of my biggest concerns going into purchasing this game was, okay, it's by a different company, it's a different voice cast, is it going to feel like it belongs within this now trilogy?
Yeah.
And after I played it, it does. It really fits into it. It feels like it belongs in that world, and granted, it's a different voice cast, but how they did the performances, you feel like there are younger, raw versions of Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith did an excellent job, in my opinion.
Who do you think had the bigger problem in terms of the bigger challenge with voice acting? Who do you think had a bigger challenge? Was it Roger Craig Smith as Batman, or Troy Baker as the Joker?
I think it was Troy Baker, because at a Comic-Con panel, Roger Craig Smith actually, after Troy Baker did the whole monologue as the Joker, Roger said, look, Batman's in this little box thing. He's this kind of character. The Joker is a huge, kind of not amorphous, but he's so complex and he's so diverse. It's so hard to characterize him and make him into one single form.
Yeah, given the fact
it's hard to capture.
And given the fact of the comics nature format and the fact that there's been multiple incarnations of the Joker for years. Now, moving on to the score for the game itself, what did you think of it?
I thought it was awesome because I liked how they incorporated like Christmas tunes into this kind of darker ambiance.
Yeah, it definitely
It's
felt
very Tim Burton-ish.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from the score as well. It felt very Tim Burton-esque, but it also kind of had I wouldn't say it was more. I wouldn't say it darker than the other Batman's, but I would say it's at least a little bit more. How do I put grim? Maybe a little bit more grim. In that it focuses it's the Christmas time, usually a time that a lot of people are really, really happy with it.
Yeah, joyful.
Yeah, exactly. But then it takes itself in such a twisted
right. Like the Joker.
Exactly. And so like it takes itself in such a twisted, morbid route. It almost feels like, I know this is probably not a great comparison, but it's the only thing I can think of, where you take a Christmas themed horror movie,
Black Christmas,
like Black Christmas, and then you and then you take that in terms of a Batman game. You take that such opposite twist with a very joyous holiday and take a very dark route.
And that's so Gotham.
Exactly.
That is Gotham.
And so taking that route with a Christmas themed Batman game, and it kind of makes you. I will admit this would have been totally funny if it was like a Die Hard reference, but if they had played the song "Let It Snow" at the end of Batman Arkham Origins,
oh my gosh,
that would have been the ultimate. I would have laughed my ass off if that were the case. It would have been so funny to just see that. But either way, it's just a small thing I wish would have happened, but again, it's not a big deal when it comes to the overall structure of the game. Now, one other thing we need to mention about this game is that it is huge. Like this, would you say this is probably the biggest Arkham game so far?
It is the biggest Arkham game.
I mean, like that one, like it consists of not only just Arkham, what would become eventually Arkham City, but also Old Gotham. Is that correct?
It's New Gotham.
Oh, it's New Gotham.
Yeah, it's New Gotham because Old Gotham got converted into Arkham City.
Okay.
Because that's where the old GCPD building was and the steel mill.
Okay, isn't that also referred to as the Narrows or something like that?
Yeah, and Crime Alley.
Okay, so it's those two sections combined together, but it's only like a small section of New Gotham. Like we don't actually get to go to Wayne Tower or any of that. Like
yeah, we don't see any of that.
No, but then again, another thing that's a little bit I would say is probably fairly helpful is that whenever you drop into the city and you clear out another section, like a particular drop point, you can drop into any point at the city.
Yeah, I love the fast travel thing.
Yeah, the fast travel is
so convenient.
Yeah, the fast travel is really good, and the fact you even go to the Batcave at all. That one was pretty cool. Like you get to see all these little, I imagine for fans of the Batman universe and lore, there's all these little Easter eggs, and you actually get to interact with Alfred, which I imagine was a lot of fun, and for me it was personally rather enjoyable. And you also get to see the dynamic between the two and how it comes into conflict at certain points.
Yeah, like my favorite part in the cave, you actually see the plans and the construction of the Batmobile in one area.
Which that makes me kind of wonder, why in the world would Batman build his Batmobile later than have a Batplane? I guess probably to get around faster. But I don't know, that just seems like, it seems like the Batplane would be later on than the Batmobile, which seems to be a more iconic version or something that he would immediately...
Think about it, like he's not friendly with the cops yet, so he needs a faster way to get out of there.
That's a good point.
So if he flies away instead of drives away, he can't catch him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the fact that I don't know, maybe it's just, I don't know, it seems to me like a plane would be a little bit more advanced in terms of the engineering needs or what he would need the situation arises. I don't know. And to add to your point is the fact that he also would need something to drop off fairly quickly. You wouldn't need to get in the car, drive back to the Batcave, go get it, and then go back to whatever it is you were doing. You could just call the plane in. What would you think of, say, the presentation overall? Would you say it's fairly consistent, or is there anything wrong that you would say with the overall aesthetic of the game?
I think it's fairly consistent with the design of Asylum and City. Well, granted, it's a different story, so some things are going to look different. And it's...
Although that probably makes it a little level of intrigue, because then you notice, like, you've seen these worlds, you've seen these locations in the Arkham City games, but you've also realized that this is a prequel, so you're saying, oh, I know what this is going to turn into by the next time.
Yeah, which is really fun, because when you're flying over, like, the old Gotham district, and you see the church or the steel mill, I mean, I love what they did in the game, where Joker, when you find out the plot twist, and he's Black Mask, and he takes over Sionis' steel mill, this is Arkham City all over again.
Yeah,
and this kind of explains why Joker was situated in the steel mill in the city in the first place, because he's been there before and he knows the layout.
Yeah, that does make a little bit more sense now. The fact that you mentioned, like, instead of just one random part of Arkham City that he just happened to be in. It's like, okay, so this is one part that he is actually familiar with, and he sets up his base of operations.
Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything that they did that said, oh wait, that really, okay, this doesn't define what the Arkham series is. You know, this doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
It really fits. Which is pretty impressive, considering it wasn't done by Rocksteady.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest things I was concerned about, is the fact that this is a different studio. This is, I think, Warner Brothers Montreal, if I remember correctly. And it is not... And the fact that they even had a different voice cast with Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker, they had so much... They had a lot going against it, considering the fact that it was a prequel to the Batman games, or the Arkham games. But this is actually, I feel like, is a nice sort of capstone to the trilogy that we've had so far. So overall, the aesthetics are pretty consistent with the Arkham universe.
Yeah.
There's no real major problem in terms of storyline, although probably a little bit nitpick of saying that it is 5 years before Arkham Asylum.
5 years.
Which, okay, to be fair, is kind of strange whenever Jim Gordon has, like, what, full gray hair?
Yeah, and another thing. You notice how the Joker's hairline from Origins... Like, he's got a full hairline up here. In Asylum, it's almost all the way right here.
Yeah.
That does not happen in 5 years, people.
Well, then again, neither of us know about male pattern baldness, so to be fair, we don't know how that works.
Well, yeah, but still, it just seems too short of a time. I feel like it's around 10.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Yeah.
Although it does explain, like, certain other origins of other characters, so you would understand, like, why they would be in there. We won't spoil who exactly, because we've already given a little bit of spoilers during the course of this review. But at the same time, it seems like overall we're pretty satisfied with everything, the score, the aesthetics, everything like that. So, bottom line, what would you say, given all of your experiences, what would you give this on your personal scale, or if you're going to use mine? It's
a game that's worth buying, it's worth playing. It's got a few flaws in it. It's good but flawed, but it's really worth buying and playing. And it's a really great game despite some of it.
So it's worth playing but not perfect.
It's not perfect, but that doesn't make it a bad game.
Right, that's the point.
Makes it's a great game, actually, honestly.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's worth playing but not perfect.
Yeah.
It's saying you definitely would recommend it to someone, but saying, look, there's going to be couple of things wrong with it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's worth playing. Mm-hmm. I would probably agree with that. I would say Batman Arkham Origins is worth playing, but it's not perfect. And I would fully recommend it to someone. Maybe if someone who isn't as big of a Batman fan, probably to give it a shot as well. But if you probably want to see the more A-list category of Batman villains, either do Arkham Asylum or Arkham City first, and then go into this one, because, to be fair, this is a rather, I guess, would you say C-list level of Batman villains?
Electrocutioner, come on. That's pretty C level. That's F level.
And not to mention when you take him out, it's like, it's one punch.
Well, honestly, I can in hindsight understand why they did that, because it illustrates, like in some interviews, the developer saying this is a raw, kind of a cockier Batman, and he's a little bit overconfident because he hasn't faced villains like the Joker or Bane yet.
He's more or less just dealing with thoughts.
Yeah, so if he takes somebody else, like one assassin out with one punch in throughout 5 seconds, that just shows him that he's confident and he knows what to do in order to take somebody out. He's like, Electrocutioner to him is just another street punk.
Yeah, because let's be honest, he's only really faced kind of thugs with really over-elaborate wardrobe changes.
Yeah.
And not to mention, let's be honest, if you took out someone like that with just one punch, you'd be cocky as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, alright, who's next?
Who wants to show me where the penguin is?
So there you go, folks. That is our review of Batman Arkham Origins. I figured it'd be a lot more fun if I brought Morgan, who is a much more Batman aficionado expert, just to bring into this review. So tell us, what did you guys think of Batman Arkham Origins? Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Did you probably have a couple of flaws with it? Comment below, tell me what you think. And also, mention, what is your personal favorite Batman villain? Mine and hers, it's probably going to be obvious. What is it?
The Joker.
Yup. Anyway, guys, we'll see you later.
And Harley.
And Harley. So until next time, everybody, I'm Perry, the One-Armed Legend. You name it, I can play it.